Josh, nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I'm super interested in your journey because you moved from New Orleans to LA.
That's right.
In a U-Haul, and you weren't even originally planning to do music early in life.
Yeah, that's right. I was just going to school at the time.
Yeah, for animation, right?
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about your journey. What led you to decide to do music?
Well, actually, I was kind of bullied into doing music. My older brother, he needed beats at the time.
Okay.
And he wasn't really into making them. So he just bought me some equipment and he's like, you know, you gonna do this for me? I'm like, all right.
So you started producing?
Yeah. I started producing first and foremost. Kind of, you know, your big brother needs you to do something, you just do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'll produce for you. After a while, I started to really like it. I got good at it. I mean, I would literally like close myself off from everyone, lock the doors. I mean, this went on for like 2 years where like I was really antisocial.
So it became like a release to you?
Yeah, I would just work on beats nonstop.
Yeah.
And good thing I did because I would say I got pretty good at it.
Okay, so then what made you decide that you wanted to like actually like pursue being an artist? Because it's like not an easy career choice.
Well, at first I didn't really want to rap, but once again my brother was like, well, you know, hey, you might sound good on this, won't you try?
Yeah.
So I tried and I sucked. I wasn't good at all. And I was like, you sure I should do this? I would just stick to the beats. And he was like, no. I was, you know, kind of whack when I first started.
Okay,
too, like,
at least owning up to it.
Yeah. And so I remember like my first rap I wrote was about a bunch of, you know, can we curse on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about a bunch of shit like that I'm not really about. Like, so.
Like what? Like drugs, girls?
All kind of things that
just
I'm
like
not
stupid
really,
stuff?
you know, it's not really my style of music anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm talking all kind of crazy shit in my music. And he was like, you know, it'd be dope if you just like talk about what you really do and what you know, what you really know. Because growing up in New Orleans is like really grimy. Like almost everybody I knew was into that life.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I was more into like basketball and like art and things like that. So I found a way to like tap into like people close to me, like their experience, and tie it into my music.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you know, giving a more authentic story of myself.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I feel like every artist goes through the journey where they're just like talking about whatever they think society wants, and then they have to like kind of find their authentic voice. Mm-hmm. So then what made you actually take it seriously enough to be like, I'm leaving this city, I'm driving to LA, and I'm gonna
so, you know, this was during the time like I had lost everything in Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
Right. So I was homeless at the time. My brother called me. He's like, hey, come stay with me in LA. So I went out and stayed with him. I got a gig at, what was it? A city college in LA, doing like audio engineering.
Okay.
I had never done this before. But I got the job and I was like, man, I'll just learn how to do this on the fly. I needed the money, right, at the time. So I started working and doing audio engineering, and I liked that. And that kind of meshed well with making beats at the time.
Yeah.
So I started to make money from doing that. And then I would use that to kind of pay for my studio time and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. And I know like moving to LA and becoming an artist is not easy. I feel like a lot of people go through that struggle.
Yeah, definitely.
So what was it like when you first moved there? Like what was that struggle like? Did you ever like regret your decision and like
I
should have stayed in school and done animation, or like
Nah, I didn't regret it, but I was worried would it work? You know what I mean? But I didn't regret anything. I always felt like this is something I was meant to do. So, you know, if I fall on my face, I'll just get up and try it again. But, you know, I learned really quickly that I needed to make strong, like, allies and, like, strong teammates.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you can't really do on your own.
For sure.
Yeah, you have to have friends. Like, so, you know, I would get out and network and meet people and, like, you know, I would meet so many different people, and the goal for me was to like use people without misusing them. Like,
yeah, like make it a relationship. Like,
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. I didn't want them to feel like, you know, okay, he's just using me for this or that. I was like, no, you know, I do need you for this, but maybe you can use me for this as well, so we mutually benefit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I feel like the music industry, there's so many people that are talented, but half of it is like the business side. Like how well can you like navigate this industry?
Exactly.
And that kind of determines if you make it or not.
I agree.
So what would you say who are some of your musical influences? Like what type of music did you start to like move towards after you kind of figured out yourself?
So initially, Kanye West was like the greatest thing to me as far as producing, like because he had like this sample style that was so different from everything else. I was like, that's what I want to do. Yeah,
I still think he's one of like the greatest producers.
Yeah, definitely. And then that evolved into me doing more research and learning. And then because I moved to LA, you know, Dr. Dre is everything.
Yeah.
So I really started to study him, and he became probably my biggest influence. And then rap-wise, of course, I grew up in New Orleans, so Cash Money and Juvenile and Lil Wayne, those guys were like everything to me. So I always had like a very weird contrast of a style because I was influenced by two different regions. You know what I mean? And then the sampling is actually like an East Coast thing for the most part, right? That's where it originated anyway. So I'm like blending all of these different regions, and they're like, man, you from New Orleans? You have like a sound that I can't like put my finger on. It's not what you would expect from the South, you know?
Yeah. So do you produce like all of your own music?
Yeah, definitely. I produce everything. I mean, I work with a lot of good people from time to time, but for the most part, I produce all of my music and most of the music for the people in my team.
Okay. So who's somebody, Kanye and Dre are like people that influence you, but like who are artists that like you'd want to work with today?
I would love to work with Kendrick Lamar for sure. I wanna produce for him. I feel like I could really make something crazy for Kendrick.
Yeah.
That's a personal goal of mine. But it's a ton of artists I would love to work with. I'm not the type to like really turn folks down. I'll work with anyone. But like just specifically, I like Rhapsody. I think she's dope. I said Kendrick. Who else? I don't want to just say like the super popular names because I mean, of course, I'll work with them, but you know, folks, I would love to work with Juvenile and Lil Wayne and you know, folks from where I'm from. Yeah, that would be dope for sure.
So I feel like hip hop is changing a lot. Like it used to be like, or a little while ago, it was back to like being like very trap and like everything like that, and now it's going more back towards like the old styles and like people creating music that actually means something. So where do you see like your music going?
I won't even put my name on it if it doesn't have substance. Like, it's just me personally. Like I'm all for the club, turn up music. I'm all for it, but you know, for me, even if you're making that kind of music, there has to be some message to or something, you know, that people can like feed off of and build off of.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be a good balance. So what do you think of like hip hop today, like the music that's coming out?
I think it's dope. I think it's constantly evolving. It's not boring. You know what I mean? You can't predict where it's going anymore. Like there's no limits to it. It could turn into anything, but I know for me personally, I'm constantly trying to grow and evolve, and I'm probably too personal in my music. Like
no, I don't think so. I don't think art could be too personal.
Oh, dope, yeah, because that's how I feel too. But I mean, I think the more I give of myself in my music, that'll help me kind of like stay in my lane and make sure like I'm different from you know, the next artist.
Do you think that's one of the things that like keeps you going? Is because like even if like 5 people or 5 million people listen to a song, like you're still creating something that you love?
Right. And you know, I'm glad you asked that, but like producing gives me that extra challenge because I have to dive into that artist and, you know, their vision for what they're trying to create, and especially R&B, because I'm definitely like into producing R&B as well, not just hip hop. So,
R&B is like more about melodies.
Exactly, like, and you know, that's always a challenge for me to like step out of hip hop mode and like, okay, let me, you know, get that emotion right for this track for R&B, you know? Yeah.
So what is like the strategy or like the plan to when you're producing music? Do you listen to like lyrics first and create a beat, or are you creating a beat and then adding lyrics?
Honestly, before I start, I like watch movies and try to get inspiration. Yeah. So it won't even, half the time it won't be music based, it'll be, you know, looking at art pieces or looking at movies or something that like. So it's like an energy or like something that you're trying to. Yeah. You know, some of my best music comes when I'm angry or like, you know, I'm just not having the best day. Yeah, breakup albums are the best for a reason. Right. Yeah. Because the energy is so raw and like, honest. Yeah. Right. So, you know, once I get in the vibe, then the next thing I'll do is, you know, kind of figure out, hey, do I want to make something from scratch? Do I want to sample something? Like, so I'll listen to maybe, I mean, I'll go through 200-300 songs and just listen. Yeah. For like, oh, I like that. Okay, but I'll keep listening. Oh, I like that. I'll keep listening. And then before long, I'll have like a couple different pieces that I want to take. And then that's when the magic starts from that point. Okay. Do you ever feel like you're listening to too much then after like 300 songs? Oh yeah, definitely. My manager Chris, he'll tell you, he was like, man, I haven't talked to you in 3 weeks, man. What are you doing? I know you're making beats. I'm like, yeah, man. They call it the cave. It's like, oh, Josh is in the cave again. I know, so that brings up a good point. Like during quarantine, I feel like, I think I even read a tweet that was like, this is a producer's dream. Yes. It's like just being locked in. I made a whole album in quarantine. You ask Chris, I made an entire album just from the time like we were on quarantine, I want to say like April to like now. Now I got a whole album. So it's been like a productive time for you. Definitely. And spending time with my daughter too. Yeah. Have you, what would you say like this experience has been like for you? Has it been like highs and lows, or like have you just like kind of used it to like make music? Oh, yeah, I mean, it started out as a lot of lows because I'm a super social person. Yeah. I like to be out and about, meeting people and, you know, staying busy. But I had to turn that energy, of course, like you said, into something productive. Yeah. So, like, I've been spending a lot of time with my daughter and noticing her talents. So she sits with me, like, while I'm, like, making music. So she's learning, so I'm, like, teaching her. And she's probably going to be, like, super musical because kids pick up things quickly. Yeah, when they're young. Yeah, so she impresses me every day in her vocabulary and everything. Like, she's not your normal 3-year-old. Yeah. I was just telling my roommate yesterday, I was like, I wish I was an artist so I could just, like, create an album during this time. Like, that's the best thing to do. Yeah. So you brought up a good point where you were talking about how sometimes you, like switching gears from, like, being an artist to a producer. What would you say, or, like which one do you love more? That's probably the toughest question you can ask me because initially it would easily be the production side of it. Yeah. But, you know, now that, of course, I make my own songs, I write everything, there's something about, like, just the pure words you put down. Like, it's coming directly from you, only the way you can tell it. Yeah. So I have grown a love for that part of it. So I would say 50-50. Like, if I had to choose, I would choose production only because I feel like I can do it longer. Yeah. I can be 60 making beats. That's so true, yeah. I don't think I can rap at 60. Yeah. Yeah. So you feel like being an artist, like you're able to express yourself more than producing? From time to time. See, it's tough. It's really tough because it's interesting that you brought up though that like in producing you're still like expressing emotion and things because a lot of people don't think of that like because it's just beats and things, but it's still like an emotion behind it. Exactly, especially with me. Like I feel like my energy is so transparent. Like you can tell that he was mad that day.
Really?
Just
wow,
from
that's so
listening
interesting.
to, like, yeah, like the sounds and things like that I picked. Like it'll definitely sound like the energy I had that day.
Yeah,
for sure.
So the album you created during quarantine, let's talk about that. Like, what kind of vibe is that album? Like, what would you say is the essence of that album?
Yeah, so the album is IRO, Internalized Racial Oppression. So I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about like politics and like just the state of the world right now, and how like folks are more divided than ever as a people. Yeah. And you know, we also talked about minorities and how they feel as opposed to white folks. And, you know, there's no right or wrong answer, I feel, with this kind of thing. But we did feel like we both agreed, like, we can't sit back and be victims anymore. We have to, like, you know, rely on each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of racism from time to time, like, I don't want to say it's internal, because of course it's not, but
it does like get internalized.
Some of it can be it can be internalized, and like that part of it, I feel like if we start to take better control of and love ourselves more, then we'll be stronger to fight against it. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. Like, I was the only Indian girl, like, growing up in, like, my middle school or whatever, and I didn't think that, like, having curly hair or, like, being brown, like, was pretty. I thought, like, being white was. It's just, like, it gets...
A lot of people deal with it.
Yeah, it gets internalized when you're a kid, so you don't realize until you grow up and you see more representation. And that's why, like, representation is so important.
Exactly.
So, in the album, you express a lot of, like, what's going on in the world today, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Just a lot of internal things, like from emotionally to financially to you know, politics and relationships, and you know, I try to touch on everything. And of course, like I said with my music, everything's really personal. So I like really dive into like my personal life between the months of, I would say, from January, but right before COVID started to really come into effect to now. Like, I basically take you on that journey, how it affected me.
Okay, so what happened in January?
So in January, of course, like I was thriving, doing music, things like that. And then things just kind of had a massive halt. I was planning to, like, you know, move with my family, like, to Houston and like, you know, do more good things that way. But of course, COVID happened, and I'm like, okay, pump the brakes. Let's chill. Let's see what happens with this. Be safe. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then that turned into this month between, like, I would say mid-March to, I would say, like, late April. I was going crazy in the house. I'm not gonna lie. So I had to turn that, like, crazy energy into, like, something really productive. Yeah. And then I take you on that journey from, okay, you know, besides hanging out with my daughter, I need to actually, like, do something.
At least you had a kid to keep you occupied.
Yeah. I would say she saved me during COVID. Yeah. Because, I mean, I would have went crazy, for sure.
So is the album in, like, it's in order of a journey?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
That's really interesting, because I feel like everybody went through that journey. Like, the beginning of COVID, we were all, like, hated it, going crazy. In the middle, we were like, okay, this is lasting forever. What the fuck can we do now? Like, how do we make this into a good thing? Yeah. And now we're all kind of, like, coming out the other side. Exactly.
And that's pretty much how the album wraps up. It's like, you know, hey, this is not going to last forever. Yeah. You know, be strong, and, you know, don't look at yourself as a victim. Look at yourself as a fighter, and, you know, make your way through this and help each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we don't have to do this alone. Like, team up. Okay. So why are you moving to Houston? So those are mostly financial reasons. Like, I'm looking to, like, of course, buy property and things like that. Just, you know, small business moves, investments, and just tapping into new markets musically, things like that. Just constantly growing, evolving. Okay, so getting away from LA? I wouldn't say getting away, because, you know, I lived in the Bay Area for a while, but I would always find my way back to LA. I lived in New Orleans for a while. I would always find my way back to LA. So I don't think I would necessarily like be away. You know, I travel a lot. You know, as long as COVID permits. But yeah, I don't think I'll be away like too long.
Okay, so in your album, you touch on like the political climate, what's going on with that stuff, your music, being productive during quarantine, and relationship-wise, are you in a relationship?
Oh yeah. I got a beautiful queen I love to death.
Okay.
And, you know, hopefully she feels the same way because I'm kind of crazy sometimes.
You're the crazy one, not the girl?
Definitely. I'm the crazy one. She has to put up with my nonsense.
Okay, so the album has some love songs on there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so as far as relationships, I like to ask like every person that's in a relationship on the podcast, like what made you choose that? Like what makes them the one you want to be with?
I know she has my back more than anybody, you know, that I've come across. But watching a woman give birth changes you. I'm just gonna say that. Yeah. So.
In a good way?
Yeah. Okay. I respect women before, but watching, you know, someone give birth.
Yeah, we have to. Life is tough for us.
It changes you on another level. I respect women, you know. It's really high, my respect for women. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
You sound a little traumatized from watching.
Oh yeah, it's not something you know you can prepare for. But I mean, it was a beautiful thing. I'll say that. You know.
So how long have you been with your girlfriend?
I would say about 10 years.
10 years. Wow. Okay. So what keeps the relationship alive? Like, what keeps you committed to this person? A lot of
arguments. No, I'm serious, though. Like, we express ourselves, we go at it, and then we make up, and things are good. And, I mean, we know we're trying to build something strong for our daughter. And, you know, that motivates us. And, you know, like I said, she lets me be me. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I feel like that's the key to a good relationship is just being yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so healthy communication. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the album, is it out?
The album is out on October 8th.
October 8th,
on all streaming platforms.
Okay,
but of course I'll give you a sneak preview listen.
Yeah, let me listen to the whole album.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, awesome. Do you want to plug your social media?
Yeah. So everybody follow me at Josh Gray Way. That's my handle for all social media. And Royal West MP for my manager if you're trying to, you know, holler at me on some business stuff.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Yeah,
Super excited to listen to the entire album.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me.
Of course.